All right, guys. Rock 7 on the phone with Leroy from War of Ages. How's it going, man?
Not too bad. How are you doing, dude?
Good. How about you?
I'm not too bad. I'm just glad you have me on tape right, or you're taping it right now.
Yeah.
And usually, whenever I would do a radio interview, I have that strange echo. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, where you're like, I talk and then everything I say is repeated back to me. I don't know if that's ever happened with anybody you've ever interviewed before, but usually that's what happens on a radio interview. So I always prepare myself to have this echo after I talk.
Yeah.
It's like it gets really confusing at times. I'm just glad that you don't have that this time.
Yeah. I don't think we've ever had anything like that happen. So, but
Well, that's good. Trust me, it's a good thing.
okay. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the history of the band?
Oh man. Well, we've been a band for a little over 10 years. We started in Erie, Pennsylvania, as basically a ministry-based band. We just wanted to play the area, and we had a hardcore scene that was really strong, and that's the scene that I grew up in. And I met some people who wanted to play in a band and wanted to start playing music. We all were fellow Christians, and we just wanted to minister to the kids in a way that a lot of the other bands that were in the area, or a lot of other churches in the area, couldn't minister. So that's what we did, and then we just kept it around our neighborhood and basically our scene, and then started growing in popularity, and then the rest is history. We just became more popular in our area, and we started branching out, and it just kind of took off and did its thing. Everybody always asks, like, what should we do? How'd you guys do it? I'm like, really? I don't really know. It just kind of worked. Good timing. I we just worked hard and played music, and it just did what it did. So there's no formula. Everybody's got a different formula.
What are some of the influences for the band, like the bands y'all were listening to when y'all decided to start it up?
Oh, it's different across the board. I do not come from a metal background, so I couldn't honestly name one Metallica song. Well, maybe I probably could name one or two Metallica songs now. But when we first started the band, I just listened to straight hardcore. I was a huge Hatebreed fan. I loved Burn It Down, Ex-Disciple X. Like, I listened to a lot of a range of hardcore Madball and whatnot. And then there's my brother was the same because obviously he's my younger brother, so he listened to whatever I listened to. So he was heavily involved in loving the hardcore side of music and whatnot. Then we met Steve, and Steve and I kind of just molded together. He knew I loved hardcore. He wasn't really sure what that was, but he knew all about metal. I mean, anything from Iron Maiden, to it's just any Soilwork, In Flames, the newer school stuff like that, the more Swedish side too. Just like I was saying, Megadeth or Metallica, and that was kind of his range of music, where he just loved more like the melodic metal and stuff like that. So we molded it together and just started writing solos and breakdowns. So.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the new album. Where does the title Supreme Chaos, where does that come from?
Well, we were talking about it. Well, as I was starting to write the album, I have the way I do my writing is I go off inspiration. Basically, like I write one song at a time in the studio, and I just go off with what I feel like I'm being, what the music end of things is coaching me towards. And a lot of the songs started developing with like things I was reading, things that I was dealing with on my own personally, and a lot of what I saw in our culture as a whole. From the things with I know you know about Tim Lambesis and that whole situation happening, and then other friends of mine that are really close friends of mine that had passed away from drug overdose, and we had a really close friend of the family that passed away from heroin overdose, and then just different situations that have happened, pretty much right when the record was being written and whatnot. So a lot of the songs came off is very. We have one song called "Lost in Apathy," and that deals with the apathetic approach of people these days. And then there's another song that is going to be our next single that we released. It's called "Chaos Theory," and that is strictly about role models these days, and narcissistic attitude that they've taken on in their lives, where they just kind of do what they want to do, when they want to do it, how they want to do it, and pretty much they lead a crowd of people that love them for what they do, and they're idiots. You know, and so that's what that song deals with. It's just that party atmosphere where they don't care about anything but themselves. Then there's, other songs, like there's a song on the album called Ecstasy, and that has to do with pornography and how it's ripping our families apart, you know?
Yeah.
So a lot of each individual song deals with so many different issues that I think culturally we just, have, whether we know that or not, we just choose to ignore and take an apathetic approach to it. And basically what the album is calling out different situations like that and saying, hey, this stuff's real.
Yeah.
You know, we need to make a difference, and it's going to start with us changing something, and personal. I mean, I've never written an album that was, pointed to an agenda other than, being strong in who you were and trying to, battle through the crap that you've been through in your life in the past and whatnot and keep moving forward. This one's really just about dealing with stuff that you're doing right now.
Amen.
And battling through that crap right now.
Yeah.
You turn on Facebook and you search your feed and you just see chaos.
Yeah.
Just stupidity, people shooting up schools and just stupid. And a lot of it just starts with internally, close to home, these different situations, role models and whatnot. So
yeah.
that's why we named it Supreme Chaos, because each song deals with a different subject, along those lines. So, but I mean, there's two other songs on the album too that don't deal with anything like that directly. There's one song called Amber Alert that deals with me as a father, and I wrote that for my daughter. How I have to be a strong man in my life and who I am in character and in honor and in integrity, and I have to show her that because she's going to be a mirror image of who I am.
Yeah.
So that song deals with that, and then there's the first single of the album, which was From Ashes, and that's showing unconditional love through the eyes of a husband and a father, and what I see in my wife and when she looks at me, and how I've learned true love from her, just by her reaction and stuff like that. So, I mean, each song deals with a different subject. So,
yeah.
Supreme Chaos.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Like a lot of diversity right there from what you were explaining. So, what's in store for you guys this year? Like a lot of touring?
A whole crap load of touring. We are on tour right now. I will not be home until the end of summer. Pretty much about the second week of August is when I get home. So that's about 2 months of touring, and then I'll be home for a week and a half, and then we go to Europe for a month with Unearth and Acacia Strain and Shadows Fall. We'll be over there for a month with them, and then we'll come home, and we'll either be doing a support tour, or we'll be staying at home, seeing our families for a few weeks, and then now we're talking about going right back to Europe for another month in November. So we plan on being home, little breaks, like a couple weeks here and there between tours, and then just touring and filling the whole year up of, wherever we can go. We're talking about going to New Zealand and Australia next year in April. Lots of U.S. touring, lots of stuff in Mexico, Canada, South America, Brazil.
Yeah.
It's just different places. We're talking South Africa. We're talking about just going to different places.
That's really cool. Speaking of tour, what are some like the crazy stories you have? Like the craziest thing that's happened to you guys, or like a funny prank or something?
10 years of touring is a ton of crazy stuff, but I'll chop it up to one thing that I think is pretty interesting. I haven't heard the story. A lot of the stories that's happened to us we've heard before, but this one not at all. We literally shut down a town one time.
Oh, wow.
It was a very small town in I think it was North Dakota, maybe Montana. I think it was Montana. We got booked at this church venue, small little place in the middle of nowhere, and we got there early, and there's a train coming through because there's a train track right behind the venue we were playing at, and so we're up on the train track, and this train's coming, so we decided to lay down some quarters because we're bored out of our minds. There's nothing to do. And we grew up near train tracks, so we're like, okay, this train stop, police are all over the place. They said they were going to slap us with a federal, and the stopping the train was a federal offense. And it was an $80,000 fine apiece.
Oh, wow.
And so basically what happened is they stopped the train. We looked at ourselves and told the guys, everybody stay in the van. Okay, it was really my brother and I that were doing it. So I said, everybody stay in the van. Well, the police came to the place that we were at. I had to, I got out of the van. I'm like, okay, you guys all stay here. I'm going to go talk to him. Said, hey, I was, putting some pennies or quarters or whatever down on the track. He goes, well, who is the kid? The conductor said there's two. There's another kid in a gray shirt or a gray sweatshirt. And I go, it was my brother. So I walked over to the car. I go, Alex, come on. So we were like, hey, man, we did not try to shut down your town. We're not, like, I know we're like, we do not look like we're from this area. Because they're all like farmers out there and stuff. And here we are, like a bunch of tattooed dudes wearing black, with a van and trailer just like looking around like, yeah, we just derailed the train. Like, it was a pretty intense situation. And then the officer wasn't real cool about it, but when the venue person got there, he was, I guess he knew him, so he kind of talked him down, and we ended up getting away with, a couple of smushed quarters, and we didn't have to pay the $80,000 a piece, so we were happy about that. My wife is real ecstatic about it, so, and then I left with a really good story. That's the only time I've ever heard a story like that.
Yeah. Okay, so, what's on your iPod right now? Like, what are you listening to while you're on tour and stuff? Like,
okay, well, my iPod is, I lost it, so I don't know where my iPod is, and if I could honestly, if I still had it, I have a ton of Tupac on there. He is like one of my favorite rap artists, and I used to listen to a lot of rap when I was younger, and the only rap that has made it through the years is Tupac. I have probably every song that he's ever put out or not put out. I also have Rage Against the Machine. What else do I have on there? There's so much music. I'm talking hundreds of thousands of songs from like every As Lay Dying to every band you can think of, because I just loaded up my iPod with all the music, so I never knew what I would be in the mood for.
Yeah.
But I now use my phone as my iPod, my iPhone, so the only album I have on there is our new album. Oh,
okay.
Because I don't want to take up room, so that's a hard question for me. So.
Okay, this is a question.
Not because I'm narcissistic myself, or I only want to listen to my band. It's just we just got the new album right before we left, so I wanted to make sure I remembered the lyrics, because we're playing 4 of them on this tour.
Yeah.
We're playing 4 new songs, so that's the only reason why I did it.
All right.
Just want to make that clear.
All right, this is a question we love to ask bands. What would your dream tour be? Like, who would you want to take out with you or open up for?
I'm sure each person in the band probably answer differently on this, because we actually we had a discussion in our band of like, if we could play for one band, what band would that be? And we had a couple Metallica, we had a couple of Hatebreed. My choice personally would be probably Rage Against the Machine. I don't agree with them lyrically whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I just love the energy of that band. I love the style for one, and I just think that they're like awesome with what they do. But again, I don't agree pretty much at all with the lyrical standpoint of him, but I do respect his ability to control a crowd.
Yeah.
And I like the overall music that they put out and play. So that would probably be the band that I would love to go on tour with. Just so I can see their how they do what they do, and how the kids react each night. We've already, another band that was Hatebreed, and we already toured with Hatebreed. Nice. They're another huge favorite of mine, but we already did that tour, so that's why I figured I'd just say, Rage Against the Machine.
I think that'd be an interesting tour. I'd go see that. Rage and you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so
what? They're so good. So I'm like, you watch a video on YouTube with them, and you're just like, are you serious?
All right. Okay. One last question. What do you want listeners to get from the new album? Like the take, like themes or Uh, your overall message.
I mean, as far as message goes, I think I pretty much covered what we were going for message wise. But as far as a musical standpoint, we wrote really good metal songs. We always have. Anybody that knows our music and listens to our band knows that we do very well with what we do. I can tell you honestly that these songs are better. But the one thing that we added to it was we added massive amounts of production to our music, to where we wrote our songs like we would, and then when we went into the studio, we actually ripped them apart and added production to them in a way that it was like complementing to the song. We didn't go crazy as far as to the point where we just wanted to add production just to add it. We actually really did try to construct the songs in a way where these elements that we added to the music made the songs better.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would say when they listen to our music, the one thing we want them to get out of it musically is just a different feeling. Just the musicianship behind what we've done, and we actually wrote everything, that even the beats and everything that we've the music and the little some doots that we put in there, we wrote everything to go with the melody of the guitars and stuff like that. So
yeah. Well, I for one am very excited for y'all's new album. I've loved everything y'all have done from the beginning. After I was introduced to y'all by a friend, and I bought everything right away. And so,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So I want to thank you, Leroy, for taking the time to call in and do an interview with us.
And not a problem, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you for setting up the interview. Anytime you want.